Welcome back to Read and Discover. My name is Reed, and today we will discover what I read during the month of November. This will be my first monthly wrap up since I launched the channel, and I sort of have three main goals with these monthly wrap ups, three areas to cover: what I read during the previous month, what books I acquired during that month, so a book haul, and not a TBR, but plans and possibilities of things to read for the upcoming month. I'm very much a mood reader, but at the same time, I am wanting to participate in some events and read-alongs and things. So there will still be some plans of things that I do intend to read. One little departure from that is this month. I would also like to talk about what I read in October. October was a very difficult month for me in my personal life, so I only finished one book during the month of October, and so I'll talk about that. On the flip side, I will not be talking about October in my book haul because normally a book haul for me during the month will probably be like 2 to 5 books. In October, I think I engaged in a little retail therapy, and I purchased 35 books in the month of October, so there will be a separate video with a book haul for the month of October. So let's get into what I read. The only book that I finished during the month of October is The Black Echo by Michael Connelly. If you're not familiar with Michael Connelly, he's the author of the Harry Bosch series. This is the first book in the first novel in the Harry Bosch series. This is actually the first novel ever published by Michael Connelly. This was published in 1992, and it won the 1993 Edgar Award for Best First Novel. Harry Bosch is an LAPD homicide detective, and he is called to the scene of where a body has been found in a drain pipe, and he goes in to investigate, and he discovers that the victim is someone he knew from his time as during the Vietnam War as a tunnel rat. So his connection to the victim plays a part in this. He has a partner who is literally phoning it in. He's under investigation by IA, and he discovers a link between the victim and some bank heists that the FBI is investigating, and discovers that he was considered a suspect by the FBI in those crimes as well. So it's a very fast-paced, great first entry. I was first introduced to Michael Connelly in 2020 during lockdown when we couldn't go into the library to check things out. I tried some of the audio books through one of the apps. I don't remember which one now, but I was introduced to, I had seen the series on Amazon and was introduced, and from that last year I did a lot of reading of the more recently published novels, all the way up until I was caught up with the most recently published. And now this year I'm looking to go back and start from the beginning and get caught up to where I jumped in. So that was the only book I read in October. It's the first novel published by Michael Connelly. The first book I finished during the month of November is the most recent book published by Michael Connelly, Proving Ground. This is the 7th or 8th book in his Lincoln Lawyer series. Like I said, this was just published in October, and I read this in like 2 sittings. I believe I read it on like October 31st and November 1st. I just read it straight through in 2 sittings. I've read 17 of Michael Connelly's novels at this point. I would have to say this is probably my least favorite. If you're not familiar with the Lincoln Lawyer, he is a criminal defense attorney who doesn't necessarily play by the rules. But in this book, he has left criminal defense to be to represent a plaintiff in a civil lawsuit. The mother of a daughter who was murdered by her boyfriend because his AI companion told him to. So Mickey Holler, the Lincoln lawyer, is suing the AI company, and this book follows that lawsuit. There's also a character from some of Connolly's other novels called Jack McAvoy. I think he's appeared in 3 other novels. I've only read one of them. In the Jack McAvoy book that I read, Jack's chapters were always written in first person POV. So I wondered what we were going to do in this book when we switched to his POV, if we were going to switch to first person. Turns out I was worrying about nothing because we never go to Jack's POV in this book. I said this is still a great book, like a poor Michael Connolly, subpar Michael Connolly novel is still a great novel. I think this didn't hit with me the way his other books do because I could care less about AI, so the subject matter isn't really that integral to me. And just the stakes in a civil lawsuit are very different than the stakes in a criminal defense, prosecution and defense. So I think that's part of what led me to not resonate with this. If you're going to read any of Connolly's Harry Bosch books, I think you could jump in anywhere. If you're going to read the Lincoln Lawyer novels, I suggest starting at the beginning. I would not jump in with this. Then there was an event going on in November that I just had to be a part of. I guess in the most basic way possible. Die November was happening in November, and so I read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I don't think I could tell you anything about this book you probably don't already know. Just great book. Other Crichton that I have read include Congo and Timeline. And so we sort of had this formula of the experts knowing how things could go wrong and the people with the money ignoring their warnings. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. I may not be seeing the movie since I saw it in theaters when it was first released. So I'm looking forward to, I actually checked it out from the library. I'm looking forward to watching the movie. I haven't yet to compare it. But yeah, Jurassic Park, great book. Now this next book is made something right up my alley that you probably haven't heard of before. This Earthly Globe, a Venetian Geographer and the Quest to Map the World by Andrea de Robilant. So this book focuses on Giambattista Ramusio, who was a Venetian public servant during like the 16th century in Venice. This book is just right up my alley. So it was in the Age of Discovery. I wanted to read you a short excerpt from the prologue talking about sort of the critical time that we were discussing. So it says, Ramusio was a child of the Age of Discovery. He was 7 years old when Christopher Columbus made his first voyage across the Atlantic, 11 when John Cabot reached Newfoundland, and 12 when Vasco da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope. In the decades that followed, Cortez landed in Mexico, Vespucci sailed down to Brazil, Balboa reached the Pacific, Magellan circumnavigated the globe, Pizarro invaded the Inca Empire, and Cartier explored the St. Lawrence River. So all of this age of exploration is happening as he is an official with the Venetian government. So he is using his political and professional contacts to acquire sources of of all the different governments that are sending expeditions and stuff. And in the 1550s, publishes a 3-volume set called Journeys and Voyages that sort of accumulate, makes all of this information available for the first time. So I'm gonna have to do a separate review of this book to really give it justice. But each of these chapters explores the different ways that he's using his connections to acquire the not necessarily original manuscripts, but copies of the most original manuscripts that he can get his hands on of the people who have actually made the voyages. And he's literally sort of rewriting the globe with those with that 3-volume set that was published in the 1550s. Again, I'll have more, definitely have more on this in a future video. And the last book I read in November is The Serviceberry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World by Reverend Wall Kimmerer. She takes the idea of her neighbors had a serviceberry bush, and she who invited neighbors to come pick berries from it. And she explores what she calls the gift economy of of what human communities could be like if we didn't operate in as strong a capitalist economy where you're rewarded by exploiting as much as you can. It's a very pretty book, some very pretty illustrations. I think everybody should read this, but I kind of felt like in the second half of the book, she just was repeating the same things over. So yeah, it's definitely something you should read. It's not something that's going to find a permanent place in my library. The things that are going to find a permanent place in my library are the books that I purchased in the month of November. I only purchased 4 books in November. First is The Darkest Road. This is book 3 in the Guy Gavriel Kay's Finivar Tapestry series. I already had the first 2 books and was just needing the third. Found that available and so completed that series. And while I was at it, also managed to get a copy of A Song for Our Balm, another Guy Gavriel Kay novel. I think this is, Guy Gavriel Kay either has 16 or 17 books published at this point, and I have all but 3 of them so far. And Philip Chase is doing a read-along this year, and I hope to be keeping up with that. So almost finished out my Guy Gavriel Kay collection. Another book that I purchased during October is Bookcases, Outstanding Projects from America's Best Craftsmen. So I am definitely in need of more. You can't see off screen, but I have piles of books here. I'm definitely in need of more bookcases, and this year I intend to build some. So hopefully this this can instruct me in how to do that. And then the last book I got during the month of November is Drawing Nature for the Absolute Beginner. I love nature. I love being out in nature. I have no artistic ability whatsoever, and I think I could really enjoy nature and bring stuff back, really capture some information if I could draw better. So hopefully I might be learning to draw a little better in the coming year. Next, talk about plans for what I'm going to read in December. That was the idea for the video anyway. This is December 29th when I'm recording this. I kind of already know how much I'm going to be read in December. But again, I mentioned Philip Chase's Guy Gavriel Kay read-along. In December, they were discussing The Summer Tree, which is the first book in the Finivar Tapestry. And we'll see how that goes in next month's wrap-up. there were also 3 books that I had paused. I have this weird habit of sometimes when I'm really enjoying a book, I will set it aside because I don't want it to end. And I have 3 such books like that I wanted to try to wrap up in the month of December. The first being The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch. This is the 3rd book in the Gentleman Bastard series, and one of my favorite series in fantasy, probably maybe second behind A Song of Ice and Fire. And I had paused this last December when I was about 60% of the way through, and want to get that wrapped up before the end of the year. The other book that I had paused that I was about 60% of the way through that I was really enjoying is The Severing Son by Von Roykoff. This is a self-published fantasy book that I saw featured on Philip Chase's channel. And I read the first 300 pages of this super quick, and then had to go on to some other things and sort of set aside and never come back to it. But that's no sign of the quality of it. This is an excellent book. Looking forward to getting back into it and finishing it. And I was also about 60% of the way through The Black Arrow by Robert Louis Stevenson. Looking forward to, I'd started this last year or maybe the year before during Spring into Adventure. And again, I'm about 60% of the way through and want to get back to that. I also want to continue with my Michael Connelly read. The Black Ice is the 2nd book in the Bosch series. Hopefully by the end of this, I think I still have 24 unread novels by Michael Connelly. And so if I can knock out about 2 of those a month in 2026, hopefully by the end of 2026, I will be completely caught up on Michael Connelly. And after reading Jurassic Park and remembering how much I love Michael Crichton, I was thinking about reading Eaters of the Dead. And that's pretty heavy on fiction, so I was kind of wondering what nonfiction that I might mix into my December reading. And I was thinking about just continuing Dino-vember and Dino-cember with Dinosaurs Rediscovered, The Scientific Revolution in Paleontology. Don't think I'm going to get to this, but maybe push this into January. And that is it. Hope you had a great reading month, and see you in the next one.